Welcome, everyone, to the Go Mode Podcast's Mentor Tournament 2020. We've got our semifinals, Game 3 of our Fighter Sword bracket between SplitzHappen, our number 1 seed, and DJDarkwingD, our number 4 seed. Commentating with me today is Mocha Jones.
Hey, how's it going, peeps? Are you excited for this Game 3 match? Game 3 hype, people. I mean, we had an amazing match just less than an hour ago, where DarkwingD takes the win, and we had SplitzHappen say, "Hey, let's do casual this time."
Yeah, casual is an interesting mode. It means that you start with the sword. It's not quite the same as Ambrosia, because Ambrosia has a boots hint and a guaranteed item on the boss. But it's a standard start, and you have that sword assured, so you don't have to live without that sword for who knows how long. I'd like to mention that we have Oro on the restream and Adilor tracking as both of our runners get started here as the uncle leaves the house.
Yes, and he's gracious enough to give us a stun item. We have the blue boomerang. In my opinion, the best boomerang, just because you have less lag.
Yeah, it's also worth noting at the start of this escape sequence, we actually don't have access to our sword. We don't really have any reason to use it, but I know it confused me the first time I did a mode with that starting sword. You can't actually use it until you pass your uncle down in the sewer here.
Yeah, it's very fun fact. If you do casual boots, you can still dash through the bushes at the bottom, even though you don't have your sword. I found that out yesterday. But we're doing this casual, which means we have our sword. We have standard opening, which our runners are so graciously just blowing through right now. And yeah, we'll see the same thing happen on both screens, hopefully.
Yeah, one difference between casual and casual boots is obviously the presence of the boots. Now, makes this a lot more like your everyday standard start, where you kind of have to hope that you run into bombs or the boots before you hit the end of the escape sequence. Otherwise, you've got to come back later.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have one of our runners at least seeing what the stun prize is, unless I just missed it. But I'm very surprised that we're not seeing a stun prize on any of these guards to see if it just happens to be bombs.
Yeah, if it were me, I would wait until, say, this guard, maybe, because it's kind of nice to have that one stay in one place, since you have to deal with them anyway. The rest of them, I'm not sure you want to take the time to not just run past. But
yeah, I usually wait to that green guard, but if a guard's in the way going up that hallway, I might try and stun them. So I do anticipate one of them using the boomerang here, hopefully. And we see one use of the boomerang, but it just happens to be to get the key from the guard.
interesting strategy to not go for the second pot. It does take a little bit to walk back there, but I usually find it's worth it. Especially since if you're doing this later in an open seed, you can sometimes want to set up for a death warp, so you can get right back to the start. If you do that here, though, you have to come back down to get the princess, so it's not very valuable at all.
Yeah, now we do have our runners making their way back up the escape, and chat saying that Darkwing did stun one of the guards, and it just happened to be a big 20.
Yeah, I did see that big 20 earlier. I didn't necessarily see if the stun came out for that, but that's a decent stun prize to have if we need to grind for Zora money later.
Indeed, especially It depends on how the seat goes. Who knows? We might have like 300 rupees in Kakariko.
Yeah, bomb is a good stun prize, but only right at the start of the game. I would say the best stun prize to have would probably be a fairy, because then you sort of just have access to that whenever you really want to later in the game. And it just offers a lot of safety. It's basically like powder whenever you want it.
I wholly agree to that. But we do have our runners going into Dark Escape. Now, the dark part of Escape, whenever it's standard, you have Princess Zelda acting as your light source. So if our runners just, I don't know, happen to forget the Dark Cross, which I doubt they will, they'll have to have Lamp if they want to navigate this back. So advantage of standard is you don't have to have a fire source right at the beginning.
Yeah, I thought it used to work that way, but I believe they changed it now so that you always in the escape sequence in a standard seed will have that light cone. I think chat will correct either of us if we're wrong about that. But I seem to remember it working the way that you just mentioned. But I know in my latter races I've been bitten by this being in logic when I thought it wasn't. For instance, Lamp being in the back. And I don't think we've seen bombs, so that's kind of unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. We had splits farming. We have both runners farming for bombs.
Yeah, it is. If you really know your prize packs, you should be able to sort of diagnose by this point if you have a chance of finding any. I know I don't. And so it can sometimes, you know, if you've seen a bunch of different stuff, because some of the prize packs are pretty mixed. Some of them are pretty, you know, just bombs or just magic or just arrows or what have you. But if you get some mixed bags, then sometimes you're not sure if you should keep spending time killing stuff or not.
Yeah, so we're going to have to go back through that escape sequence to get into that back room, which is definitely unfortunate. So do we see a lumberjack check?
Doesn't look like DJ's going for it. SplitzHappen looks a lot more like it.
Oh. Now, again, one of those hit or miss plays. If you go up to lumberjack, see that it's something super early, that would make you want to find the items to go up to Aga.
Ooh,
and the tree pole is
bombs on the tree pole. Now we can't obviously go back into the escape sequence because that's a one-way trip. But if you don't find bombs in Kakariko, it can sort of mess up the sort of routing of your trip. And we see Ice Rod on Lumberjack. SplitzHappen has that information, and DJDarkwingD does not. That is going to be something to keep in mind for the rest of this run.
And DJ not doing a tree pull, so there is one that he could have done in Lost Woods, but he decided not to. But he is farming up those 20 rupees, as we said. I'm guessing to go ahead and get money either to buy bombs or to have money for the bottle vendor.
Yeah, I think that's a heads up play, just to take a couple extra seconds to stun those guards and kill them for an extra 20 rupees. It's not a bad trade-off in early game when you're not guaranteed to have money.
Well, I'll say this is already turning out to be a pretty healthy seed.
Yeah, blue mail as well. Unfortunately, DJ did not have any bombs going in there. You sort of hope when you dive in there that one of those 4 chests is going to have some bombs, but no such luck.
Yeah, so he's opting not to go to well, hoping that in the back of the tavern there's going to be those bombs, so that way he doesn't have to go buy bombs.
Yeah, but at this point, you just suck it up and spend those hard-earned rupees.
Yeah, because
that tree pull really working out.
Yeah, you can definitely get several rupees on your way to wherever you're going.
Yeah, so the play to go up and check the lumberjack it takes a fair bit of time. You know, I've never timed it, but it's somewhere in the vicinity of 30 plus extra seconds versus just diving in. And the hammer's back there, not something you want to leave.
Oh, definitely not.
Exactly what happened to SplitzHappen here is sort of what you want to see happen, right?
And we have a fire rod in the chicken hut, so both rods are early. So that probably means that we're not going to TR today, right?
Yeah, that's another interesting point. The ice rod is in the lumberjack check, but we're gonna have to wait until we get to the dark world to see if we're gonna need to do that. However, having seen the master sword there in the well, that's going to be 1 point towards getting to Aghanim's tower. We're just lamp away from having that logically accessible.
So we've gotten master sword, we got hammer, we got ice rod. We got 300 rupees, as I said before, as I predicted before. So I think we're going to be set for a little bit. Now we just need a moon pearl and a left item to be able to go into Dark World.
Yeah, I would imagine if we see that Dark World access from Splits, we're probably going to see some great attention paid to what is in Turtle Rock. Because if Turtle Rock is a pendant, then we don't want to do Aga 1. If it's a crystal, then we know that we need to defeat Aghanim 1.
Yeah, so for DJ's sake, we want to see a pendant there. But, of course, we never know because, hey, there could be items that we need in TR. Maybe the boss of TR.
Yeah, there could be item. There is one item that requires the ice rod to check, even if Turtle Rock is not a required dungeon, and that is Trinex. 2 if it's green pendant, I suppose.
All right, so Splits is the first of our runners to go, I'm guessing, to South Shore.
Yeah, at this point, you go to South Shore. I would say, personally, if it's really looking like an Aghanim seed, even if you have everything you need to go up to Aghanim's tower at this point, you still go ahead and do at least mini Moldorm Cave, just because of the density of checks that you've got in there.
And Ray Corvette, yes, Eastern is indeed vanilla green pendant. And the seed, after denying them bombs at the start, they are getting bombs, it seems like, everywhere. Don't you just hate to see that?
Yeah, especially since, once you've got that max bomb in your pocket, the rest of them just vanish into the ether. And, so sometimes it's a little consolation prize to pull bombs out of something if you have less than 10, but, yeah, it's a little rough. Split's going towards the desert. It's interesting at this point.
I agree. We don't have a book, and there's more checks going South Shore up to Ice Rock Cave.
Yeah, this is a very, very frequently orphaned check here. It's a strange play. I would maybe expect this more if Desert Palace was a pendant, and you didn't necessarily expect to have to come by this area later. Because if you have both Desert and Mire as pendants, then this is a very easy check to not do.
Now I know that, and speaking
of, maybe it pays off. That's that ether medallion.
Yeah, well, DJ gets the mirror and the tempered sword. So what I was getting ready to say was, I know normally DJ will, if he has to flute over to this area, just cause it's much easier to flute and then flute back to 8 or flute back to 6 or 8. I get these mixed up. And there's just a red boomerang on the desert ledge. I doubt they'll get that.
Yeah, so picture this. You know, SplitzHappen has the information of where the ice rod is and has Ether Medallion. If Turtle Rock is Ether and a crystal, then that's actually a pretty big lead. So that those rather expensive time investments may be paying off in the future. It's a little early to say, but
All right, so having checked South Shore, Darkwing will probably head up to our CRFN Salt Shaker blah blah blah.
yeah. So before we get to the Dark World, we want to see the Moon Pearl, and before we defeat Aghanim 1, we'd obviously like to see the boots so that we know we can collect that ice rod if we need to. So that and the lamp, all of that stuff is still missing. So I think we might be looking at an Eastern Palace dip here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
especially with no glove yet, because we can't even go back and, well, I suppose since you do get the light cone in standard, we can go the long way around to get back to the back of escape.
we have a hook shot. It won't. I mean, it's going to pay off just a little bit here if he decides to dip in the Eastern. See what those. See if we get 3 items in the front, but not going to be very useful right now. Just have to navigate a little bit faster.
Yeah, aside from Eastern Palace at this point, I think we've just got what's in Eastern Palace and those 3 chests in the back of escape that we couldn't get earlier.
I mean, we could. No, we can't go up to the Zora unless
and
we
I think yeah,
right
those
there.
are in logic, those 3 chests, because that light cone is preserved in the escape section, even without the lamp.
Yeah, we did have chat verify that earlier for us.
Because without the power glove, we're pretty hamstrung as to what we actually have access to right now.
So I imagine if Darkwing finds the book here, he'll make his way over the Eastern. Because book will let him get into desert. He can beat desert because he has a fire source.
Yeah, and if the bow is in the front here, there's the glove. Okay, so that opens up a little bit more.
And DJ,
so that,
yeah, I was going to say DJ continuing on because there's still 2 items in here.
Yeah, and I was going to say right before we saw that, if the bow is in front here, then technically we can logically clear Eastern as well, since the dark room right past the big key door has torches you can light with the fire rod.
Yes, just step in a little bit, face either left or right, and just fire that torch. Darkwing making quick work of those invisible salvos, and there's that book I was talking about.
Pendant Eastern. Those are some. Book isn't that heavy hitting, but glove is definitely a heavy hitting item.
Well, book right now is needed to get into desert. So imagine that if this next item is an item, I don't anticipate either runner coming back in here. Unless you know something's on ped.
Which we can find out now with the book.
And Darkwing navigating the easiest dark rooms in this game with that hook shot.
Now, one thing that could stop this desert progression in its tracks is something being on the torch. The small key locking the big key on the right side. for instance, since then we have to find the boots before coming back.
That is indeed true. But we won't know that until we get up there.
Yeah, and here we see DJ presumably making the play that I would make in their position, which is use that glove and go clean up that back of escape, because that's 3 checks right here that you can that could be those boots that you might need. So I would definitely do this before heading to desert in case you need boots.
Indeed, that I completely agree with that. And unfortunately, it's not. And so we're going to make a desert play. Maybe the front of desert will have boots if it is boots locked, or just have both big key in the small chest and small key in the big chest.
Yeah, one other check that's in logic now is King Zora. With that glove, we can get all the way up there. That's a very heavy time investment for a single check, but right now it's looking like it's either that or desert. So those are our 2 options right now.
Or maybe DJ's going to go up the mountain.
It's another option. Nothing up there is logical yet until we see the lamp, but I think at this point you either have Moon Pearl and another item for Dark World access, or you have the lamp. You know, so if the lamp is down on Zora or in desert anyway, then it doesn't really break much to go up the mountain out of logic here.
Yeah, I feel like DJ's going for more dense checks than to beat the dungeon right now, because I would go for the more dense checks. I would go for the crystal right now, other than the density of checks.
Yeah, this could end up being a wild goose chase. However, if you can be reasonably sure that your logical mountain access is going to be with the lamp and glove, then hey, maybe you find the flute, maybe you find the boots up here, and that can save you a bunch of time later. So those are 2 items that it saves a lot of time to get those early.
Yeah, with that hookshot, he does have access to all of Light World Death Mountain.
Yeah, and the mirror gives access pretty quick to Hera here.
So no matter what, he can beat a crystal dungeon. It's just that it probably wouldn't be the one that we think that he should go to. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Well, yeah, one would assume that the logic is pointing pretty heavily at Desert Palace right now. What I'm assuming is a consideration is the fact that, you know, with the mirror, if you have to do Mire, we're going to probably see a Dark World map check here momentarily. But you can wrap Mire and Desert together pretty easily. And it would just be really nice to be able to, you know, do those at the same time rather than invest the time early to do a 2-check dungeon for 1 crystal early on. And have the only progression item you get, lamp, to go up the mountain, you know.
We see DJ not doing a map check, but doing the tablet while he's up here too. So he's going to, I'm guessing, do tablet, go beat Hera, and then go to Eastside Death Mountain. Well,
and then there's also the possibility of Desert Palace being boots locked. It's a very distinct possibility. So yeah, going up the mountain makes a little bit of sense. However, if Desert is boots locked, then we've either got a progression item not locked by boots in Desert or on King Zora. Neither of which are really attractive propositions for doing a seed quickly, so going up the mountain out of logic makes a lot of sense here in that scenario.
Now, I could see progression being the flute up here. If we get flute inside Desert Palace, which would kind of make the mountain play logical, but Darkwing wouldn't know that.
Yes, we see a very nicely done bomb setup for the Hera pot. I wasn't paying attention to the front, but I'm going to assume that we determined that the big key was no, it wasn't locked in the basement, so there could be an item still in Hera basement, I guess.
Did he check that first chest? No, I think he got both items.
He got the big key, obviously, because he opened the big chest. So if that was both of his items, then That's a pretty clean Hera there.
Yeah, and we're not. I don't believe we saw anything in desert because it is boots locked. Like the left side is boots locked. Or right side in desert is boots locked.
We can, however, clear the dungeon as SplitzHappen goes into the back of desert.
Yeah, I was hoping he wouldn't steal that key because he can go ahead and get that crystal, and we see that he's actually go ahead and finishing the dungeon.
Yeah, stealing the key would make a little more sense if, say, if it was a pendant dungeon and then you really wanted to get items out of it. But if it's a crystal dungeon, you don't want to steal the key and need to come back with boots to clear it. In case, you know, the 2 items that may be locked on the right side are just garbage anyway.
Yeah, and we did see that half magic, it looked like, was on the floating island.
Yeah, so as soon as we have the mitts, that can be obtained. If we see the mitts up here on the mountain, I would assume we would see DJDarkwing go and grab that. Because that's a nice item to have, and you can wrap it in with Hookshot Cave pretty easily. It's something that's a little tough to decide to go back for, though, because that's a kind of a slow thing to check.
Yeah, I mean, if we find silver, so I doubt that we'll see them, either one of these runners, get that.
Yeah, I don't know. I might grab it early on if it was convenient. Again, if I could wrap it into my Hookshot Cave dip. If I had to go back for it, I'd probably end up skipping it unless I was staring down the barrel of a Master Sword Ganon. Master Sword Silverless.
All right, so it looked like desert held nothing for us right now, so we are going. The logical progression is Zora.
Yeah, there's nothing else that I think really can logically be our progression, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna either be Lamp to climb up the mountain, or Boots to get the lamp on the right side of desert. Or it could be Flute to go up the mountain and get whatever's up here, since we do find the mitts in Paradox Cave.
And there
and
are
the flippers. Yeah, it's a very good haul. Deciding not to do the Dark Death Mountain checks. A little bit interesting since oh no, it's not that interesting since we don't have the Moon Pearl yet, so it would be a little bit silly to do so.
So there's a discussion going on in our chat right now about if Landmo was in Logic or not. I do have a question to propose to the chat. We already had Big Key, so wouldn't that technically make us being able to get to Landmo in Logic since we didn't have to go into any other room for Big Key?
You didn't have to, but if you stole the small key from that room and used it to open the right side, then you wouldn't be able to get to Landmo's without finding the boots. So the possibility of being able to lock yourself out of that is sort of what makes that out of logic. Now, that could mean that boots are guaranteed to be in the right side of desert as well. Because that would once again put that in logic. Even if you steal the key, then you get boots, which puts that other key back in logic for you. But without knowing where the boots are, we can't say that for sure. And we have Moon Pearl on Zora.
That's a good get right there. So
Could be very interesting. Because that doesn't allow us to do anything right off the bat. Without, breaking more logic.
Yeah, and chat saying that boots can't be right side since the right side is boots locked. Can we disagree that the logic that you think for desert is kind of weird.
Yeah, it is always weird when you have the opportunity to take a key and use it somewhere other than where it's intended to be used, and use it to bypass a key that would be in a chest or in an item check. Because those keys are static and they never change. And a lot of the time you screw yourself over if you waste them, but at the same time it's kind of oh, I misspoke earlier. We that gives us, that Moon Pearl lets us access Village of Outcasts directly, so
Yeah.
we're gonna see SplitzHappen do that. But yeah, key logic can be something it's really easy to forget about because you get very, very used to using your keys optimally after your first couple of seeds.
Yeah, and there's DJ saving and quitting out of desert thinking the exact same thing. It's like, I need that key to get all the items out of here.
We do see Crystal TR, so we're gonna need to defeat Aghanim at some point.
And that means that Splits knows that he has to beat Aghanim. So that's going to be really good for him.
Yeah, it's going to be really sketchy if DJ decides to keep putting off checking what's on that lumberjack, because you don't want to go and do Aghanim, especially now that you've got mitts, hammer, glove, and pretty soon we're going to see the Moon Pearl coming up because he's going to route that in with the flippers checks. So with all that, you're going to have to, that's going to be one of your last locations when you get desperate and you're looking for something. You know, I never checked lumberjack. And then you're going to see the ice rod there. So that's going to be a pretty bad ice rod hunt for DJ Darkwing. Finds a king though, which is nice.
Yes, no, I do. If I were DJ, if I find boots, I'm going to go check a lumberjack just because it's a boots check to see if it's something I may need.
Yeah, that would be a reasonable compromise. Other than, you know, aside from just, you know, hoping that it's, you know, I'm going to put all my chips on not lumberjack, no aga required. That would be a decent compromise because it sort of lets you cover your bases. It's like, well, I know if I haven't seen boots that, you know, I can't get it anyway, so I'm not going to go out of my way to check it. And with the mirror, you can sort of route it into those Dark World, the North Dark World checks, which you want to do with boots anyway, since that can get you Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb, etc.
DJ about to get his Moon Pearl, and he'll be able to get into the Village of Outcasts much quicker, since he does have those hot mitts.
This is a kind of a strange seed to try and say who's in the lead right now, because DJ's done Hera. Splits has not been up to the mountain yet. Splits has been a slave to logic, which is a strat that I am fond of. It doesn't always work, but it breaking logic can really help you, and it can also really lead you astray.
You say he's been a slave to logic. He did do desert, so.
Well, yeah, but even a lot of us, I didn't know right away that technically wouldn't have been logically completable because just because of, again, that key logic is kind of strange.
Yeah, so we have Darkwing looking like he's going to go over to Village Outcast as well. And SplitzHappen spinning on Mothula. If I'm not mistaken, if you have Tempered Sword, you don't want to spin on Mothula.
Yeah, so in the vanilla game, this boss is broken. It's terrible. I think it's bad. The spikes have a damage class that is the same as the Tempered Sword spin. In the vanilla game, that is the same as the Gold Sword regular slash. In the randomizer, they've patched the Gold Sword, so the Gold Sword normal slash no longer does no damage, but they didn't change the Tempered Sword spin. So if you spin with the Tempered Sword, you do no damage to Mothula, because it's the same as the spikes. So you want to slash him and make sure he doesn't hit the spikes. It feels really frustrating until you sort of know what's going on, and then you can sort of start to get the hang of it, but it can be a very frustrating boss for beginners.
Now, did we see the front of Skullwoods from Splits? Because that's where DJ is right now. I think he
just went straight through.
Okay. So that is a difference. I don't think we saw anything from
no ped check.
Dude, that's
Oh, maybe doing that ped check right now.
Spoke too soon.
Yeah, he remembered that he probably should do that.
Oh, we have the magic cape. So let's see if there's anything of value on desert or on the ledge, the bumper ledge. And
Quake
also have a
in
Quake
pinball
medallion.
room of Skull Woods too. So that's 2 out of 3 medallions.
How many items was that?
I don't recall if we saw the first one. It's definitely one. At least 1 items.
We have DJ not going to big key chest, so it must have been both. Or we just have him just skipping big key chest.
This isn't terrible because if you can skip big key chest, you'd like to, and if you get it on the way back, it kind of minimizes the loss anyway. So rather than doing it on the way in and finding out it was useless the whole time, that it was somewhere in the back, because DJ hasn't done the back. Because we might have seen one of the items already from Splits, but we weren't paying attention because we're not doing our job.
But let's just say that there's an item and we just didn't pay attention. But if DJ does find this item, then he's gonna be very well.
And it's also possible that DJ didn't see the big key.
No, that big key was, if I'm not mistaken, wait, I thought we saw big key. Yeah, he has big key. Darkwing has big key.
Yeah, doing Skull Woods in 2 completely different orders is kind of a hard thing to keep track of sometimes.
I think DJ right now is farming hearts. We saw him mirror out. I think that's what he's working on doing right now.
Yeah, that seems a little bit greedy in my opinion. Having 11 hearts and blue mail at Mothula is a lot of the time that's plenty. That said, you would like to be able to, make sure you can finish the boss fight, because you hate to go back to it. Even though it's a relatively short return, you never want to die to a boss and have to walk back to it.
No, you don't. And we did see that bumper ledge was just 100 rupees, so we're not going to see pet today.
Now, I would imagine there's a different hint for the Cane of Burna, correct?
I feel like there is, because this said that it makes you invisible.
I think it said invincible, which
invincible?
both the cane and the cape do, but I could be wrong about that. Very nice Mothula fight from DJ.
Very nice.
Now, I would imagine we see Thieves Town in fairly short order here. For me personally, Thieves Town is almost always the very first thing I do upon entrance to Village of Outcasts. I'll usually do chess game first. If it's really early, I'll do the rest of the village to hopefully, maybe get a little more geared up before diving in. But it's a very simple, relatively easy dungeon. So I would think that we see Splits go in there within the next 60 seconds.
Yeah, depending on my item layout, I can see what there's the other item, but I can see either going north and going into Skull Woods, or going south and going on into Village Outcast Thieves Town. Either one is a good play.
Yeah, if you have Fire Rod and Mirror, going into Skull Woods is pretty good, even if it's a pendant.
So because
then you can clear it out of the items in there, and there's our lamp. So our logical Dark World access was with that hammer and glove. And so we weren't supposed to go up the mountain until after we go to Thieves Town, which is an interesting routing proposition.
So whenever DJ gets that lamp, he's pseudo back in logic. We do see DJ going over to that area to see what's on the bumper cave, which we know is just rubies, but he doesn't.
May decide to. Yep, looks like he's gonna check lumberjack too. So that information disadvantage is going to dissolve in fairly short order here.
Now, would you say that these runners would do Aga after we get that lamp in Thieves Town?
I'd say you just wait until you get boots, because then you can do Aghanim faster. And you can't get that item until you get boots anyway. You only need it for Turtle Rock, so it doesn't help you in any other way. So I'd say just hold off, and at the very least until you get boots. Now I was a little bit distracted by that, by DJ's play there. I don't recall if we saw any items other than the lamp in the front of Thieves Town. It's not really going to be a big talking point because we do have the hammer. And there's our bottle. That's actually our first bottle, which I imagine we'll see that turned into the sick kid upon leaving Thieves Town here.
So
the mirror.
Fun fact, last race, the TJ had all of his bottles filled with fairies, and that just happened to be a fairy in a bottle right there. So DJ's gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna have more fairies this game.
Reminds me of a race I had where I had 3 bees in my 4 bottles and dumped them all out to see what the pyramid fairy had to give me, and she gave me a bee. I was feeling very grateful. I was like, thanks, Oprah.
Had you done Mothula by that point?
Irritable Penguin in chat pointing out that Berna's hint says invincible and Cape's hint says invisible.
Yeah, so
if we can believe Irritable Penguin on this, then that means that we have the Cane of Berna on the pedestal.
I think there is an item in the big key chest.
Yes, I think so too. I don't remember if we've seen the compass, but at this point, if it's between compass in chest and compass on blind, well, yeah, see, it was the compass. But you still don't skip it, because it's way quicker to do it now than to come back for it.
Oh, and Split's taking the fall there. And deciding to go the safe path back up.
Yeah, going up on the conveyors there saves a screen transition. But this path is generally just more reliable. So I imagine the right path there is a little bit faster, but once you take a fall, it's no longer any faster, so.
Now let's see if he gets his squad script. And Blonde give us a troll hint that the medallions needed can be Ether, Bombos, or Quake.
You know, either or. Yeah, he can take a little bit of a reckless fight there since we found that fairy up top. Not worried at all.
50 rupees for his troubles.
Yeah, so now that DJ knows where that ice rod is, they have a very distinct advantage in having gone to the mountain once. We might see Splits get the opportunity to do all of the mountain in one trip, potentially. If the boots aren't on Dark Death Mountain, and we can get those boots, you know, earlier, then we can wrap the Turtle Rock clear into the same, you know, series of checks as, you know, picking up the cane was up there, I think. Yeah, the cane.
Todsmiths. Cane, yeah.
Cane, Titan's Mitts, all that stuff that you need to, you know, actually do Turtle Rock. If you have the Ice Rod first, then you can go ahead and do Turtle Rock on that same trip. But right now, I would say that DJ has the advantage in having gotten those Titan's Mitts, because that opens up the possibility of doing Ice Palace right now.
Yes, he does have Fire Route, which is access in. I can see that happening. Let's see what we dig out. Also, DJ's advantage with having Tidsmiths is that he can also do Smith Chain while he's down here.
Yeah, that mountain play really paying off. I actually recently had a race where there was either a mountain play or Aga 1 available, and making the Aghanim play worked out in my favor when I did it, because it sort of led me around by the nose in terms of what was in logic. The Mitts, again, were up on the mountain. And so in some cases that can actually lead you astray. Not so in this case, because the Mitts actually open up a lot of really efficient routing possibilities down in the you know, after coming back from the mountain. So it's really going to be really nice for DJ with those Mitts, those flippers. Just everything down here can be just completely cleaned out.
Did we miss Splits checking Stumpy? Because I don't think, unless I missed it.
No, I didn't see it.
And DJ's making nice work of those sword beams. And DJ getting his bond fight while we have Splits checking Bombo's tablet.
Yeah, I imagine we're seeing Bombos into Swamp here. Well, maybe not into Swamp, because Swamp is a pendant.
Plus, Splits doesn't have flippers, which were up on the mountain.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of a strange choice. Though doing it now does make sense if you're planning on never having to go to Swamp. Just for the simple reason that, you know, if there's something important there, there's not really a better time to check it than when you come over here for Hype Cave.
Which is the play that we do see Splits making right now. So I would guess that DJ will go do the race game, or not race game, the Dink game, do Smith Chain, and then do everything associated with that.
Yeah, if you're going to do the Smith Chain, all that stuff all at once, you jump down, do the dig game first, because you can't do it with the Lumberjack following you. Or not the Lumberjack, the Frog, the Smith. You also can't do it with the Purple Chest following you, as Splits picks up the Bow. That's pretty big, because he can take that right on into Palace of Darkness with him. Picking up his second 5/6 crystal.
We could see we could see Boots in the Waterfall Fairy, or in the Big Fairy.
Yeah, or in Pod. I think the one thing that could work in Splits' favor at this point is not being held up by doing all of these checks efficiently, like DJ's privileged to be able to do. If Splits sees the boots first, then some time could be made up, you know, on those mountain checks that DJ did earlier. Splits would be able to get those done a little bit faster, save time on them. So that's kind of what Splits would be. Not consciously, because they obviously don't know what plays DJ's made, but they'd be hoping they find the boots. Of course,
So
if
just
the
look
boots
at-
are in hammer pegs, that's a little bit of an insult, but they are not.
Yeah, that's true. Now, what would be more insulting is if the Smiths had the boots.
Well, then they wouldn't be smiths; they'd be cobblers.
Nope, they're just bomb makers. They're explosive experts.
Now, with all of this smith chainery available to DJ, again, it could become a liability if it's all nothing. It's nice to be able to wrap everything in, and you can also sort of get caught up in like, okay, well, it's obviously better to be more efficient with your checks. It's best to not do checks you don't have to do at all. So if this ends up just taking time and Splits doesn't have to do it later, then this all turns into lost time for DJ. Because that's another thing to keep our eye on as we go forward.
Of course, we have seen purple chests at times actually be something useful. And there's our magic cape.
Yeah, so it's interesting to note here that what we're looking for go mode between the two of them, I think, is just the boots.
I believe so, cause flute isn't necessarily required unless an item is inside Mire.
Yeah, it's not conclusive boots go mode, but if we see the boots, then like barring that flute, well, there's the flute on the purple chest, which is hopefully for Splits. Hopefully that's not required to get the boots. If it is, DJ is just taking an enormous lead. But even so, even with that flute, we still only know that we need the boots for go mode. Because all that between the two runners we need to pick up is that ice rod. So it's the boots and any items required to pick up the boots. Be that the flute, mushroom, powder, whatever.
So, let's just follow the logic here for a sec. Let's just say we're locked out of desert because obviously we need the boots. But we need the lamp from desert to get up the mountain. So, and getting getting Titans up on the mountain led to the purple chest. We have to go to the bar area to get the boots.
Well, the lamp was in Thieves Town.
That's right. It was in Thieves. So
the boots weren't required to get the lamp.
No. That's my C's are running together.
Yeah.
Again.
That's another danger, you know, playing two seeds in one day. Things can sort of slip your mind. Oh, did I check that? You forget if you checked it 3 hours ago or 30 minutes ago. But yeah, at this point, ooh, that's a nice pickup in Palace of Darkness. In the back, we see the silvers on Split's side.
So I'm going to guess that these runners probably will not go and get that half magic unless they just feel like they need it.
Yeah, at this point, I would not expect it. Because really, with Tempered Sword and at least one bottle, you could even heavily lean on Cape for you know the first 2 rounds just to make sure you get a 1-1 for the Ganon fight. You know, 1 cycle phase 1, 1 cycle phase 2, and then just refill your magic and take care of the back half pretty easily with the silvers.
Now, Just gonna say this: our runners are so much better this game than last, cause they were still on Master Sword going into Ganon.
Yes, that's a nice feeling. Nice feeling to have Tempered Sword before you even have to think about whether or not you're going to find another one.
And Darkwing losing Kiki on the way up to Pod, so having to go pay 10 more rupees just to have him follow you again.
You know, one piece that is a little unfortunate is unless Splitz decides to fake Flipper into Ice Palace. I mean, I guess Splitz can't do that because the mitts are still required. So Splitz will have to go up the mountain and come back down regardless in order to access Ice Palace. So unfortunately, putting off that mountain play isn't really going to pay off. Though I would imagine after clearing Eastern here, the only obvious thing to do will be to go up the mountain because Ice Palace is not accessible, and the only other things that are accessible is Turtle Rock, which you'd like to have, you know, the Ice Rod for, so you can do Hera and Turtle Rock in the same trip. Other than that, I imagine after we defeat Helmasaur here on the left side, we see Splitz go right up the mountain.
Yeah, unless he does decide to go ahead and go to the pyramid, see what's on pyramid, and then go ahead and finish Aga, because he's just a short walk there.
Yeah, although I would say you want to prioritize looking other places. You want to see those boots first because you can use them to save some time in Aghanim's Tower. Make what's usually a long trek as only a sort of long trek. And since you know you need those boots afterwards anyway, I would say it's still more attractive to go up the mountain because Splitz hasn't been up there a single time yet, and just with that looming over you, you really want to go up there and see what's in Paradox Cave. You know, that's 7 checks right just all at once.
The Split's taking down the big helmet dinosaur, and he gets arrows.
Now, another option for Splitz here would be to go and check the catfish, but it looks like that's not going to be the play here. And I agree with skipping that, just because it's a pretty hopeful check, but it's a pretty decent time loss if it doesn't play out. I'm not entirely sure what he's going for here right now.
I think he's
pyramid. I think yeah.
Yeah, he's saving Quentin to avoid going through the cave again, or the maze again. And Garcia, Splitz can't do ice yet because he doesn't have Titan Smiths, which were up on the mountain.
Yeah, Splitz, as far as they're concerned, still needs Ice Rod, Mitts, Flippers, and Samaria for go mode, as well as the boots. So Splitz is not close to go mode. Flippers and Mitts are both in Paradox Cave. Samaria is somewhere else up on the mountain. I honestly don't recall exactly where we saw that.
The mountain was stacked. Oh, that's right. Samaria was on Hobo.
Oh yeah, Samaria was on Hobo behind the Flipper's checks. So yeah. So a fake Flipper would get that cane of Samaria, but not exactly worth it at this point. Yeah, we might see Catfish after the big bomb here, just to cover all of your bases before going up the mountain. Because again, if you've waited this long before going up the mountain, you'd at least like to see the boots and be able to go up there with the Ice Rod so you can knock out 2 dungeons instead of just 1.
And we see another fairy in the bottle. That's 2 this game. And let's see if we see a mountain. We're not going to see a pyramid check.
Looks like Splitz is going to just do Aghanim, I guess. Making me eat my words. I would prefer to have the boots before doing this, but...
like I said, I would have at least checked to see what was on Pyramid list before going into Aghanim's tower.
I wouldn't be astonished if Splits was forgetting that you actually need the boots to grab the item that's in the Lumberjack. I've forgotten that myself. You get so fixated on, oh, you need to defeat Aghanim for it, and then you forget you actually need to have the boots. I'm not going to project that too hard, but it's a possibility. Otherwise, I'm just not sure about the value of doing this at this point. It does save you the time since you're right there. It saves you some movement, since otherwise you would sort of have to sort of travel from the portal south of Link's house again. So it may just be a snap decision to decide, well, I've got to do this at some point. I'm right here, may as well do it.
Aldor making a good point, forgetting boots, thinking that Ostrad, thinking that it has to have Ostrad to do TR. He might have been thinking too much ahead, thinking for one trip, which he just said, but I want to give Aldor credit as well.
Yeah, at this point, it's basically, okay, do you clean up? We've still got Graveyard Ledge that hasn't been checked. Just because that's been a little bit unattractive to go look at since we didn't have the boots for those checks. And again, the logic isn't as clear-cut from Splits' perspective, since Splits doesn't know that the Titan's Mitts and the Flippers, and by extension the Cane of Samaria, are all locked behind that mountain trip. So Splits has a lot to find still, and is sort of running out of non-mountain checks. But knows that that Ice Rod is necessary to defeat Trinex on Turtle Rock, and knows that if they leave the Mitts down here, they can't even get to Dark Death Mountain at all. So once you go up the mountain, you're betting on the Mitts being up there, or you're taking another trip. So that's another thing that could be going through Splits' head right now.
We see Darkwing going to activate that flute, so that's going to make his navigation just a little bit better.
Yeah, going up the mountain early has really paid off for DJDarkwing. We're gonna see how many blue balls Aga gives us today.
How many do you think after that one?
One. That's the last one.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be 3. I want to see a 2 cycle today.
I still think it's 1. Sticking to it.
You're sticking to 1 after the second one there.
Hey, if it stays at 2, then I'm still half right.
I want to say this next one's a blue ball, and then... Oh.
Well, it was blue some of the time, but unfortunately on other frames it was red, so... Ooh, that hurts.
Now he's going to have 4 blue balls. Actually, he can't, because this next one's bound to be a regular.
Oh, he misses it. See, this is why I personally like the strategy of just standing in his face and spamming the sword button rather than trying to get cute with the spins. It's a bigger hitbox, but it's not as precise. Yeah, I imagine routing efficiency, like movement efficiency, was the primary reason for going and doing Aghanim 1 at that point.
Yeah.
And it really only makes sense if you're planning on continuing up and checking Catfish right now as well. Maybe we see Catfish into coming back with the hook shot for Graveyard Ledge if necessary, just to clear out all of the remaining checks that are down here in the main overworld. However, with all of that stuff we get on Mountain, that puts, the Mire area in play. It puts, the front of Turtle Rock in play. Splits would have to get lucky to find the boots on one of these two checks.
Split's picking up a blue potion here. Deciding, hey, I'm tired of having a fairy here.
Yeah, I mean, may as well if you're coming this way. Sort of give the trip a little more value.
3 blue potions at the Pyramid Fairy. That's some good knowledge for Darkwing as he decides that he's going to also do the same play.
And Darkwing displaying some mildly advanced game knowledge, knowing exactly where to mirror back from the Dark World to end up right in front of Aghanim's tower. Just bombs on the Catfish. Does not decide to go back and take the hookshot over to Graveyard Ledge.
Now, I'm surprised I didn't see either runners, since they both have Temperate Sword, do the spin set up in that first guard ball and chain room. Because you can kill them both pretty instantly if you...
because I think it's one tempered spin for each of them, right?
Yes.
You can just wait for them to get close to each other and just let it go. Let her rip. Yeah, so Split's going up the mountain now. Splits has had it with this Boots hunt. Boot/Mitts hunt, I suppose, as the case may be. But yeah, there just ended up being so much on the mountain that, from Splits' perspective, man, what are the odds that you're not going to find flippers, you're not going to find mitts, you're not even going to find flute, down in the light world or dark world before going up the mountain. It's just there's so much lock behind this mountain, and because it's so many checks, that actually happens more often than you might think. Because there's just so many opportunities for important progression items to be up here ready for the taking. And that can also be what happens when you put too much weight on the expense of a mountain climb. Because it's true that you want to make as few of them as possible. You don't want to just be going up willy-nilly, but if you're too hesitant to do it, if you're too invested in putting it off, then it can keep you away from a lot of really good items.
You see Darkwing going into his Aghanim fight. As we see Splits making the same checks that Darkwing made very much earlier in the seed.
Now, it's possible we see a Spike Cave Boots.
They do have a fairy, and they both have blue potions, so I can see that happening as well. And they also have Cape.
Yeah, if Boots are on Dark Death Mountain, right? If Boots are on Dark Death Mountain, then Splits is probably going to find them first. Because DJ is probably going to want to examine Mire area for the 3 checks from Mire Shed and Checkerboard Cave before going up the mountain again. And is probably going to end up clearing Ice Palace too. Yeah, I think it would be safe to say that Darkwing has the lead right now. If the boots are on Dark Death Mountain, that is the first step for Splits to start making up some time.
And Splits not going for Harapot here. which is a pretty odd trick to kind of perfect. Oh, and he takes a fall.
Yeah, it's kind of strange to not take Harapot, but also not take the fast route through the top here. 'Cause, yeah, what you want to do is you want to leave that on the blue and just go straight through. It makes everything line up perfectly for the shortest possible route.
Now, I'm going to say that Darkwing's probably going to mirror out of here once out of Catfish and Flute somewhere. Because that, since he does have the Flute, he could Flute to Cat, go into the portal there, and if he wants to do his mirror checks over there, he could on Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah, at this point it would be just Graveyard Ledge. I would probably sooner see a Flute to Meyer area. Just, again, because that's 3 checks.
But we do see him walking, so he's probably going to hookshot over there.
Yeah, without boots, I think this is probably a little closer to walk. Take a few extra screen transitions, but you know, it's worth it over, you know, the time it would take to mirror, menu to flute, use the flute menu, and still walk all the way back. It's a pretty straight shot if you're not walking, so the boots help out a lot. But if you don't have the boots, then I'd say it's probably faster to use the hook shot.
All right, so let's see what's in Graveyard Ledge. If it's boots, Darkwing's essentially in no mode.
Well, I would say Darkwing is decisively in go mode once the boots are found. The only thing that would be keeping those boots from being actual go mode would be you know, them being locked behind something that we haven't seen yet.
We do see Splits
They're
taking
on Mushroom Turn-In, Magic Bat, or the Flute Spot.
right, and we do see Splits going into the Spike Cave, seeing if that has boots for us.
Yeah, this is actually a good sort of routing choice here. Because unfortunately, this is a save and quit from the Dark World. We've defeated Ognem and we have the mirror, so it takes us to the pyramid.
We have boots. We have boots in Marshed.
All right. Yep. So that's, you know, exactly. That's about as fast as we could expect to have found them. Since with Meyer being a pendant, I'm actually surprised we didn't see. Yeah, I think maybe a little too eager to get that ice rod. Could have just mirrored and cleared desert right away there.
Yeah, that's going to say I'm surprised we didn't see Darkwing mirror and get that desert clear done, since that is indeed a pendant. All right, it is a
what is
crystal.
Darkwing doing?
I hope he's not going to get that half magic, or maybe he's just getting the. He's going in to get the Lola from the uncle there. So he's getting the love from the uncle and going into ice. That's what he did. And now what is he doing?
This is about as perplexing as Paradox Cave on the left side here, as Splits is about to pick up all of that juicy goodness in this cave here. Yeah, I really have no idea what DJ's doing.
I think he is getting that half magic.
Yeah, maybe deciding with yeah, I don't know. I'd sooner just pick up a blue potion or two. before heading, you've got the flute. Just flute to the potion shop, buy a couple blue potions, and then if you need to drink one before fighting Cold Stare, so be it. He's been to the mountain twice since finding the boots. Still hasn't grabbed the ice rod.
And he knows it's there. Is he going to beat... Well, he can't beat TR. Maybe he's opening Turok, getting the half magic.
Yeah, because what does DJ still think he needs? Yeah, I mean, this is clearly the result of, you know, some sort of, you know, you're feeling some pressure here. Especially since DJ does not have any reason to believe that Splits put off the mountain as long as he did. So there is no comfort in the lead that DJ has had. It has not been he has not been able to feel like, oh, I have a lead here. Because it wasn't off the back of a big brain play or anything. It was just, you know, there are a lot of checks on the mountain. Let's go up there.
I think I know what DJ's doing. I think he was making sure that he had the correct medallion for T-Rock to see if he didn't have to hunt for a medallion. He wanted to know that he was in go mode. And Oro, yes, DJ did check Lumberjack, so he knows where Ice Rod is.
Otherwise, there would have been no reason for DJ to defeat Aghanim.
But I think DJ wanted to know what his requirement for T-Rock was to make sure that he was exactly in go mode.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sure that I'd invest all the time to go up and check that. Even if I wasn't entirely sure, over, you know, just something like just clear ice, clear desert, just get them done, you know. Hey, maybe you find bombos along the way and you don't have to care about it.
All right, so at 1 hour 16 minutes, we have DJ Darkwing in official go mode.
And unfortunately for Splits, that means that DJ Darkwing is going to be able to skip everything that Splits is doing right now.
Yeah, I'm going to guess. I want to ask him just in the interview to see if he made that T-Rock play to make sure that he was in go mode before he actually was in go mode.
Yeah, see, and now Split's picking up this half magic, which we're probably not going to see on DJ Darkwing's side. Would be a lot bigger of a difference maker if we didn't have the silvers and tempered.
Yeah, I see Darkwing not picking up any more chests. He just goes through here, icebreaker, and just beat the game.
So yeah, again, Split's having a really efficient mountain routing here. But as efficient as it is, it's still a waste of time.
Because he just now got his Titan Smiths, which is going to lead him who knows where, but he needs those to do Smith Chain to get purple chest to get his go mode item.
Yeah, so it's Flippers into Hobo for Samaria, and Mitts into Smith for purple chest, for Flute, for the Boots and Mire Shed, for Ice Rod. So that's a hell of a routing for Splits to still have to do yet.
And Mocha Jones 10, did not roll this seed.
DJ having a little trouble with the icebreaker. Using the sword buffer setup. So the way it works is you have to clip one little pixel into the wall there, place a block down, and push the block up or down after moving it a single frame of movement to the left. And there are a couple ways to do that. You can do it unbuffered, you can do it with sword buffering. You can do it with pause buffering, but it's not hard, but it's fairly precise. So if you mess it up, it can be sort of hard to recover. DJ doing it just before he runs out of magic.
I was going to say, but I think he has another. He has a blue potion.
All right, we don't want to use a blue potion on Icebreaker though.
No, that'd be very unfortunate.
It'd be one thing. You don't care if you have got 4 bottles full of this stuff. If you've only got 2, then you'd rather keep them both. One for the tower, and then if you need it in the tower climb, then you use it, and you still have 1 for Ganon. With tempered and silvers is 1's enough. You definitely don't want to be spending them in ice here.
Now we probably will see him use that blue potion.
Yeah.
Unless he uses the medallion, which he doesn't have. We're gonna have to see him use it. He doesn't have bombos.
Yeah, unless he uses the medallion that he doesn't have, he's gonna have to drink a potion. He equips the fire rod. Yeah, he's gonna use the first couple hits and then still have a few left over. I mean, I guess that's okay. I suppose, like, once you thaw him out, really, in my opinion, all you really need to use if you have Tempered Sword is, some spins and slashes. But it can be a pretty tricky fight. I've only just recently gotten the hang of stunlocking him in the corner.
Well, stunlocking him is nice. Especially with Tempered or Butter. Master Sword, those ice balls falling from the ceiling can really mess you up.
Yeah, it's you sort of have to get the angle right, which means you have to sort of develop some degree of familiarity with how do I place myself so that he goes the right way.
Now, GJ, I'm going to anticipate mirrors flies over to the mire area, beats desert, and then makes one last climb up the mountain.
Let's not grabbing that key.
He kind of needs to.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck in this terrible, terrible room without it. And again, that's just a sign of pressure. Finding those mitts after an hour, mitts and flippers after an hour. Oof, that's not somewhere you want to be. And he didn't pick up Samaria first. That could be another thing too. Like, in his position, I might have even getting it that late sort of encourages you to do stuff like, okay, I could do Hobo right before Ice Palace, but let's skip it because I need to save some time. And in that sense, he's really kind of getting the short end of that stick there.
And he's also losing health on not getting these bomb jumps. And
I mentioned that Icebreaker is not a difficult trick, but it's precise. Ice Palace bomb jump is both, so not an enviable position here.
At this point, because if you fail this, you're gonna use your fairy. So at this point, go ahead and go back, hit that switch, and just do it the long way.
The way that God intended, as I like to say. He's going to keep going. It's a matter of pride at this point.
I feel like he's too low.
Yeah, the angle and positioning has to be just right for this bomb jump to work. And then, of course, you need to set up the bomb jump correctly in the first place, which isn't as free as it looks. It looks like you just hit yourself with the bomb explosion and just sort of yump on over there. But yeah, it looks like Splits has decided, I've had enough with the bomb jump. I'm gonna maybe check these flippers checks to see if Samaria is hiding out somewhere. Luckily for him, it's in the first place he's gonna check. But yeah, at that point, like I said, you're probably thinking, okay, I've got to save some time here. Let's just go right into Ice Palace, use the Ice Palace bomb jump. And then at that point, after losing that much time to Ice Palace Bomb Jump, it's like, okay, you've made your point. I'll go look for Samaria first. And there it is.
Darkwing getting dead rocked here and lagged out too. Whew. You hate to see it.
Yeah, I can't feel too sorry for him though. Just given his position in the race. He doesn't know that, of course, but
And while we're at, let's shout out these runners, DJDarkwingD and SplitzHappens. They've given us 2 amazing races today. If you didn't see the first race, you definitely need to go back and watch the VOD of that.
yeah, and that's actually one of the things that's especially interesting about the fighter sword bracket. And I mean no disrespect from this, but it's the lowest bracket that we have in the tournament, which means that we see the lower level play, not the higher level play from the gold bracket, where they get Ice Palace Bomb Jump on the first or second try every single time. It's one of those things where they have to watch their tech knowledge. They have to. Are they practiced enough at this skip to go for it? Do they know Harapot well enough to not waste too much time doing it? And that's one of the things that actually becomes very interesting about these races, and it becomes a lot more about knowing your own limits as a racer too, in order to save time. Because if you overextend, I think I can do 4 heart fighter sword moth. Well, if you can, great, but if you're wrong, you're taking a heavy time loss trying it.
That 4 sword 5 sword moth is not fun. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, these runners have grown so much during this tournament. I know DJ personally, and I know how much this has pushed him to get better at this game.
Yeah, and I mean, as I mentioned, even though this is our lowest tier bracket, we're still under an hour and a half, and DJ's on his last dungeon, and that is a good time. And just there's no 2 ways about it. That's a good time.
We saw Splits go for that bomb upgrade, so I do see. I'm going to guess that they're going to continue to try that IPPJ.
That would to me indicate that they don't know Icebreaker at all, because I would say that Icebreaker is definitely easier to execute, just flat out, and it saves more time. Split's a man after my own heart here.
What's that?
A man after my own heart. He's not doing Icebreaker. He's not caving. He's doing the dungeon properly, at least until he gets to that Ice Palace Bomb Jump. Then he's not a man after my own heart anymore. Nice kill on those Stalfos there. That's clearly practiced. That's a maneuver looks a little bit freer than it is. It's not hard, but it looks freer than it actually is. I know this from experience.
Not hitting the switch, so he's going to go this vanilla.
So. It's really strange to buy those bombs then, but and again, I would say this is just a comfort play. You don't use all of your bombs and a fairy dying to Ice Palace Bomb Jump, and then just do the whole thing vanilla with both IPBJ and Icebreaker available, unless you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this the way I know how, and that's gonna be the most reliable way.
DJ's got 2 small keys, which I believe makes him skip Glacier Bridge, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, because we need 1 key in the room after this one, the crystal roller room, and then 1 to open the door right before Laser Bridge. So we are good on keys. He's gonna grab this one anyway. Just
Ooh, it's not
that's.
a bad one.
I was like, oh, you know, just in case it's gold sword or something. But in this case, you know, that's not bad either. That's some nice peace of mind to have on the climb. There's that bunny beam right before that second Lanmola's fight in Ganon's Tower, and it's right after the gauntlet, and it's a really convenient place to have powder.
DJ, take a little bit extra ride here on the conveyor belt here.
It's a fun ride, you know. You don't want to rush through a roller coaster, do you? Well, I mean, you obviously don't want your roller coaster to go slow, but, you know, it's nice for it to last a long time.
And he's wisely getting that full magic there as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, the key routing of Ice Palace done vanilla is not very kind to Splits here. Having to almost do the entire thing, save the little skip you can do if you have the Cane of Samaria at the end.
DJ's getting ready to go into his Tronix fight. Gets a little bit of 360s there.
Didn't take the safety exit. I mean, it's not too bad right now with that many hearts and red mail, but I know with Tempered Sword, the little wrinkle that throws in of having to freeze each head twice, again, it gives that ice head more time to, you know, lay that oil slick on the floor, and gives you more time to miss your shots. Looks like he's going to take care of it, though.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, he had that safety door right outside Big Key chest, so they didn't have to navigate throughout the entire dungeon.
Very nicely done on that third phase. Third phase is the easiest, but it's kind of the one that sort of can unexpectedly get you the most.
So, Ezmar, that's our 7th crystal.
Yeah, and you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. That means that we are ready to start our big key guessing game. And since we're doing it from Turtle Rock, we don't have much time. So here are the rules. There are 22 checks in Ganon's Tower. You guess your number 1 through 22 on which you think will contain the big key, the one item necessary to complete the tower climb in its entirety. You have until DJ Darkwing enters Ganon's Tower, which is going to happen in less than 30 seconds. So get those guesses in now.
I'm going to say 6. It's been my trademark. If I get it in right, I'm going to say 6. What are you saying?
I'm saying 3 because nobody else said it. And I'm still upset that I missed the race where it was number 3 in Tile Room. Which is always what I hope for. I always hope for that big, make that Tile Room play. And have it turn out for you, you know?
Do you think Darkwing will do that for you today?
It's not dead yet because he's going right side first.
Number 1 is bombs. Number 2 is a bonk with the small key, so he could go right side. Which
this is not an uncommon play. Go right side into Hope Room into full right. Starting in Hope Room usually makes a lot of sense. Rip Tile Room. There are a lot of different ways to route this dungeon, and it's so cool. For that reason, another strategy would be the Dark Magician strat, where you go full left through Stalfos Room, and then mirror out, and then start going right side. And the advantage to that is it guarantees that you'll get that key to be able to go the right side. It means you don't have to kill the Stalfos to get out of that room. And it also sort of gives you a little bit of information. Because if you see a lot of small keys in those first, you know, handful of checks, that also could possibly indicate that the big key is slightly more likely to be in Tile Room, given the key logic. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to throw Gamachu under the bus for that information. That is where I've heard that from.
Oh, we found Bombos in 6.
So that means that we can go to Ice Palace and defeat Cold Stare without using the Fire Rod. Yeah, and now, so if we go full right, like DJ just did, that is the point that you decide to mirror back and start going left side after you grab that small key. It's happened before where runners have forgotten to grab that key first and sort of ended up really short on keys as they're finishing, and end up having to hope for one in the tower climb, which is never a good feeling.
Yeah, no,
you could continue on towards the boss, and that's what you would do with the Dark Magician strats, because you've already gotten these 4 checks and the torch out of the way. But with these still standing here, then it's not worth it to continue on, especially not in this case, since there it is.
check number 11, if I'm not mistaken. Check number 11 holds big key. And Irritable Penguin with the win. With he was closest with guess number 10.
Yeah, and with that win, maybe he'll be a little bit less irritable in the future. But probably not. Yeah, and DJ begins his climb in earnest now. And it seems like it's been such a huge lead, and Splits is getting to Turtle Rock now, which is the last dungeon. So all in all, not a whole lot of, not as much time difference as it sometimes may have felt like between these two.
Has Splits gotten to Spoots yet? I don't think Splits got to Spoots.
It doesn't look like it, no. That's actually, okay, I take that back. That's unfortunate.
I think Splits is thinking that.
Though, I'm not entirely surprised, because given where we found that, given where we found the Cane of Samaria, Splits has to be thinking, okay, well, my only hope to win right now is that my opponent, it really doesn't want to go do it like a double dip of Turtle Rock. And if that's the play, then this is a really smart move. If we didn't already know where the boots were, this would be an exciting thing to watch Splits do.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we know where boots are. Boots are in the in Marshed, which we need Flute to get to Marshed, which Flute is in Purple Chest. So he does not have the boots, and we can't get Ice Ride without the boots. And Darkwing, is he going to powder? He's going to powder, which throws off the Lamos too, because the fight actually starts in that previous room.
I find that a lot of the time it's a crapshoot whether or not you can properly time those Silver's hits anyway, so usually throwing off the cycle doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, again, like, this seems like a dumb play, but keep in mind the information that Splits has to work with here. Having found Samaria so late, going to Mountain after, an hour 10, hour 20, almost, and finally finding the flippers, it's finding the Cane of Samaria behind those flippers. It's just rough. It's rough. You feel like you've got to make a big play. This is a really good big play to make. It's dangerous, but that's the kind of play you have to make in that situation. Unfortunately, we know it's wrong, so it's not as exciting as it could be. But I can't fault Splits for this. This is a heads up play, in the sense that it would be what he needed.
Yeah, they're not called gambles for any reason, This is just a big gamble that we know won't work out for them. And Darkwing pulling off the what he likes to call the Mocha Bonk, because he saw me do it. It's like, hey, I'm going to do that too.
Yeah, I've started. I don't remember who I first saw do that, and now I do it too. I don't know. Is it faster, or is it just convenient?
It just feels good.
Yeah, it does feel. It feels very good.
It feels good.
It just works out perfectly. Like, you'd think that it's dangerous to do, but just that since the distance is fixed, obviously it just works out. My hope at this point for Splits is that he's rewarded for this with the gold sword. Because if you're going to lose a race, at the very least you want to finish with gold sword and silvers, Yeah,
so Darkwing skipping the validation check. and going straight on back to fight the Wizard 2.
Yeah, so the validation chest, so named because I think in the days before we had the hash at the beginning of the seed, that was the... They would use that to guarantee that both runners were running the same seed or something similar. It's before my time, I will say, but that is why it is named that.
Either that, or I think it was memed or something. I don't know. It's in legend now.
That was a very rude blue balls from Aga 2 over on DJ's side.
But he got a double out of it.
He got a double out of it, but because it was blue balls, it wasn't a triple. That would have been a pretty easy triple.
Yeah, Richard saying it was just a dumb meme from the first tournament. All right, so DJDarkwingD, our first runner to enter the Ganon fight. He is well equipped. He doesn't have half magic, but he does have Temper Sword, and he has silver arrows.
So how many Ganon falls do you think it's going to take for Splitz to catch up here?
All of them. He needs all of the Ganon falls. Now, I wonder if Darkwing will equip the cape and try and get some spins off here. It doesn't look like he is, but that's something that he could do to make this second phase go.
I agree with the plan of not doing it, just because you didn't pick up that half magic. And doing that, you know, it's wasting your magic, which is a precious resource if you want to make sure you have a secure Ganon fight. In DJ's mind right now, no, he has not lost the race yet. So in his mind, it's like, okay, well, if it comes down to, you know, a risky Ganon fight versus a safe Ganon fight, you know, it's you want to make sure that you stick this Ganon fight the first time, leave nothing to chance.
Right. But like
I really agree with that, with the safe play here. If you make it to Ganon and you haven't lost, it's, you know, trying to win off of the back of a really swift Ganon fight is not the way you want to have to win a race anyway. So you just make sure you get it done.
Getting a single on that first hit there.
Yeah, to set up for doubles, it's interesting to note that if Ganon hits a wall, ooh, that was close. If Ganon hits a wall or a torch or anything, he will not be vulnerable again. He'll just teleport away. So in order to get a double, you have to hit him in such a way that your arrows, the knockback from the arrows, leaves him in a position where he can be struck again. So that is why it is recommended, if you have silvers, to not use the torch glitch, because then you can sort of stop him in the middle of the arena there and get a hit in on him when he's in a favorable position for a double. DJ not getting any doubles, but not needing them.
Yeah, DJ taking the game right there. He just has a small 3x1 brace across before he gets that win, which there he is with an official race time GG time of 1 hour, 42 minutes, 18 seconds. GG to DJDarkwingD. And we do have the forfeit coming in from SplitzHappen. And oh my word, what a race, my friends. What a race.
Yeah, that I can't fault that forfeit at all. Not with a boots hunt still pending. Splitz still has so much to do, you know. If the boots were either in Turtle Rock there and he was about to get them, and then he could have, you know, gone down, gotten the ice road, come back up, done Turtle Rock again. Yeah, you don't want to finish it out unless you already know exactly what you're in for. And he would have to find the flute, do half the smith chain for it, or the entire smith chain for it. Actually, that is one of the most reasonable forfeits I have ever seen.
And we're joined by DJDarkwingD. DJ GG on that win.
Thank you very much. That was... I know how much us as Rando players complain about every seed. That was actually a good seed.
So the biggest difference was that you went up the mountain and got your Titan Smiths early. That was the biggest play. Was you getting that Titan Smiths and your flippers super early in the seed.
Yeah, honestly, I was feeling a little bit rough, like I made the wrong choice before I went over to the. God, it was like in the last two or three checks in. Sorry, man. I got a lot of nerves going right now.
Oh yeah, I imagine.
The Paradox Cave. Thank you. And I'm starting to go, okay, maybe I just wasted some time, and like maybe I should have gone over to desert area. I mean, there's the book. Maybe it's in what's it called, Agina's cave or something like that. But once I found those, I went, okay, no, this is a good idea. And then after going to desert, I'm going, oh crap, the choice the whole time actually was Zora, which is funny because that is where the Moon Pearl was on our game 1 as well.
But I do have one question for you. Whenever you got your boots, you went back up the mountain to T-Rock. Why was that?
I was afraid. I knew this question was going to come up. Sorry, I forgot to stop my timer. I was actually afraid that I wasn't actually in go mode. I actually was kind of afraid that it was going to be Bombos for Turtle Rock. So I was like, let's go back before I do anything, before I just decide to go mode everything and screw myself. Let's just go double check. I already felt ahead. I didn't think I was going to be losing too much time. So let's just go ahead and go do that. Now, if I was going to do that, to be honest, what I probably should have done was go get the Ice Rod first. Or actually, the best call that I could have done on that was when I was on Death Mountain the first time after I got my Titan's mitts, actually gone over and checked what that was right before I left, because I couldn't have opened it because I would have been a bunny, or in this case a Carl box, but I could have at least seen what it was and had better peace of mind. That was something that was actually kind of weighing on me a little bit early after I left Death Mountain the first time.
Yeah, our tracker actually had it marked as Quake, so apparently it had come up on the screen at least briefly somehow, or it was just a gargantuan brain guess. Thinking back, I don't know when we would have seen that, but it turned out to be Quake, so it turned out to be okay.
Possibly could have been Splits that saw it.
Splits didn't go up the mountain until almost an hour 10.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you went up the mountain super early.
Well, I mean, I had way more checks up there. I've got the mirror, I've got the hammer. Man, let's just go and do like the million checks that are up there, and 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna find something.
Yeah, and even if you don't find anything, it can bite you to leave it till later, which it definitely did to Splits. Because again, it's one of those things where without the mitts and without the flippers, if you're gonna keep putting it off, you really gotta hope on every last check down, not on the mountain. So yeah, it was. It looked like it maybe could have been okay at first, and then it just kept getting worse. There was just more and more stuff that was behind those flippers, behind those mitts.
All right. Well, you moved on to the final bracket of the Final Sword bracket, the final match versus the winner of John DeBranch versus Ezmar. And with that match tonight, if I'm not mistaken, I believe at 9 Eastern, which is 8 Central. How do you feel about going into that?
I'm looking forward to it. Me and John have playfully been giving each other crap, so I'm kind of hoping that he wins and we see each other in the finals.
All right, and that's just a great run. GG to both of y'all. I know SplitzHappen can't be in the interview right now, but those in chat, all our runners, DJDarkwingD, and Go follow SplitzHappen as well. Also, shout out to our director. Shout out to Restreamer. And thank you, Ezmar, for commentating with me again today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. If I'm not mistaken, we do also have another match coming up tonight between... let me pull it up here. I believe it is between... It's a gold bracket match? Gold sword bracket match? Yes, between Shkupel and Omegatoisk. And that's going to be at 7 Eastern. So with that taken care of, I've been Ezmar, this has been Mocha Jones, and this has been the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament, and we'll see you in a few hours.
Later, peeps. Bye.